Go ahead and get started on this video. Before I jump into things too far, I had a question that somebody asked, and that was, what is the width of Rio Blast's waist from the 80s? So I'm going to go ahead and measure that now so I can find out what it is. And his width of his waist is 1.16 inches, or in millimeters, it's just about 30. Really close to 30 millimeters. So that's what we're looking at for the waist in front to back. It is, let's see, one sec, I gotta skip this ad and do my sound check. All right, cool. So his waist across, front to back, is approximately 24 millimeters, just slightly over. And in inches, it is just under an inch. It's 0.95. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully you're watching. And there you go. All right. So let's see what we got going on here. So as many of you guys saw, hey, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, Apollo Lopez. So a while ago, I made a really cool figure called Overkill. And then somebody says, hey, I like that figure. I'll buy it from you. I thought, sure, I'll sell it to you. So I did. I sold the figure to somebody. Oh, hey, thanks, Mike. Happy Saturday to you too. And so now I'm in the middle of remaking that figure. So that's what this video is all about. So I figured, you know what? I might as well actually record how to make that figure from scratch. So in case somebody wants to make their own, they can, because now you can just follow the directions. So what I have here is I have some paint. I have black and red, and I got some paint brushes. I have some weapons from the weapons pack that I already pre-painted the spots red instead of blue. Hey, thanks Hippie81. I appreciate that. And then I have some black tack that we'll use later on. And then I have the Lobo figure, and we're going to use his head for this. And I do have the replacement head, which we're not going to use, but just so he can still have a head, so he's still a usable figure. And then I have lots of pieces and parts from different Hordak figures and other figures and stuff that are just kind of here to help me along. And a lot of parts come from Horde Prime, so we'll be seeing that as well. Now I also used the hat from this guy right here. Tex Hex, I believe his name is. And then also I have some paints for backups in the back there. And of course the main base figure we use for this is Buzzsaw Hordak. So I went and bought a brand new Buzzsaw Hordak just for this build. So there you go. All right, and then I also used the gun from Hero 2, the son of He-Man. So, hey Jeremy, thanks for joining me. Let's see what Jeremy says. I couldn't read your thing fast before it vanished. Hello, my friend. You inspire me. Live customize my Clamp Champ classics and would love your feedback. Cool. I'll check that out later, man. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So first off the bat, I know that I am going to paint this. So I'm going to paint this first just to get this out of the way. That way then I'm not having to go back and try to do it and put it on while it's still wet. So I was trying to debate what color to paint this. And I was thinking about just painting around it and leaving the red in the middle. Then I thought I could paint the whole thing silver around there. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to paint it black. Just going to coat it with black. So I'm going to try to use this thin black. You know what? I'm going to use the nice colors first. What the heck? Now I'm afraid these might be too thin, but we'll see how they work. You've seen these before from other videos. I use them for when I do faces and stuff. And I have this little bottle of black. And this is my Valio paints. And they're pretty cool. You can see it's the face and skin set. And let's go ahead and get some black paint on this and get this started so that will be nice and dry before we put it on the figure itself. So I got a nice little small brush here to do this with. So let's just paint this thing right up and just cover that with black. I'm going to put my better glasses on. Hold on a second. There they are. It's funny, as the years go on, I need to keep getting more and more higher powered spectacles so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. I can see now. I can see clearly now. All right. So let's just get that all painted up around there. Right around those edges. Now you can see there's still some red seeping through. Red is a very strong color and it's really hard to mask. So we'll just let this sit and we will add another coat or two in a few minutes. Make sure you get all the way around the edge. Now it is a little bit different type of black because it's, I'm guessing, going to be a little shinier. I may add a flat black over the top. It just doesn't look quite so shiny. Shiny. All right. And for those that know my technique, I like to dry brush after I paint on. That way it gets rid of a lot of the brush strokes. We'll just let that sit for a few minutes. And I'll put my paintbrush in a safe spot so it doesn't get all yucky. All right. So that is out of the way. The next thing is I know that I am going to paint these red. Now, when I first originally did this, I actually used Robato's hands for this, so they were already red. But in this case, I'm actually using the hands from Horde Prime, so I got to paint them red to match my original build. Now, I was thinking about leaving them silver, and I kind of debated back and forth, and I thought a lot about it, and I thought, you know what, I would just like to have them red. So here we go. Let's go ahead and put some red. Now, this red right here is really cool because it's kind of a clear red, and so it ends up leaving the silver visible through the red hue. So that's kind of a fun thing. So we're going to go ahead and use this red just because I like to see kind of a silvery tint through the color. Now, this red does take a lot of coats in order to make it work, but we'll see how it looks. Do you ever dye parts? I have dyed parts in the past. One time I was dyeing some parts for hair, which makes sense because I was coloring Tila's hair. And I also dyed some armor one time, and I dyed it brown. It used to be green and just made it really brown, and it worked really well. But then after about 2 years, the dye faded, even though I clear coated it. And I actually had to contact one of the customers that actually bought my original figure. And I told them if they want, I will send them out some new armor that is painted right. Because I didn't realize. It was actually for my Shirella that I was working on. Now, I was hoping this red would have came out a lot better than this. This is kind of coming out kind of purplish and not really adhering the way I wanted. But we'll go ahead and give this a few more coats and see if it happens to work better in a few minutes with some more coats. So I'm just going to paint one hand first before I dive into the second hand in case I don't like it. Then I can hurry and wash it off. Now, what's interesting is I actually bought some extra hands from somebody online, and they were already painted silver. So I just assumed that they were this guy's hands. And when I looked at them, the silver was kind of dull, and I thought, well, that's kind of not a very good silver. It's kind of more grayish. But then I noticed they were purple underneath. So I'm not sure what figure has the same hands as Horde Prime, but are purple. I'm thinking it's one of those from the 3-pack, that one lizard type guy, that snake guy they made. If it is, it's like, wow, I can't believe he used that. Let's see. Wish I could see your clamp champ. Well, I guess while that paint's drying, I can grab my He-Bro figure. And this is my most current one that I did recently. There he is. He-Bro. So it's not really Clamp Champ, it is He-Bro. And there he is with his Bible. It's his Holy Bible on the front of the old Orko book. And there he is. So I'll just set him over here so you guys can See him once in a while. All right. Let's go ahead and try a second coat on here and see if it happens to... There we go. Now it's really catching. That was just basically it. Just got to wait a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside and just really let that paint dry before I add too much more onto it. And then we should be able to get a nice red look to this, hopefully. If not, you know what? I might just clean this off and I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how it looks with the ones that were painted by somebody else. Because, you know, that might actually do the trick. Let's see how this one looks. Being they've already been painted, they might... Nope, it doesn't accept that any better. I'll be right back. I'm going to hurry and wash this off before it affects it too much. Hold tight. If you want, you can look at the figures in the corner there. It's funny, in my mind, it came out looking so much better when I painted it red. As you guys have seen in some other videos, I painted, oh, what is her name? Wonder Woman red with her top and used the same paint, and it came out looking really... So I'm just surprised that this is not coming out better than it is right now. Let's go ahead and start doing this hand. I'll look at your guys' comments in a minute. Now, I've seen people do some really good things with some black dyes, making sure it's the ones that are made for polyester or plastic or whatever. And they seem like they get some pretty good results with it. It's just, like I said, I was kind of bummed because it took like 2 years and it just faded. I was like, what the heck? So I had to go back and, like I said, repaint that figure that I did. And contact the customer and say, hey, did yours fade too? And he told me it did. So it's like, okay. And it was a really cool Shirella. And I used, like I said, the green armor from oh, let me see you guys' questions coming in. Sorry, Mike, I don't have any extra parts right now. Eventually I will. So I end up using the parts from Queen Marlena, the Captain Glenn suit, and chopping it off with some really sharp scissors while the armor was hot. That seemed to work pretty good to make that Shirella figure. And you guys have seen the videos with the Shirella figure before. I'm sure you have. If not, you can check it out and find it on my YouTube channel somewhere. All right. Those look really purple, which is what I was not going for, but we'll just let those sit, and hopefully the second, third, and fourth coat will look pretty good. All right, let's go back to our black. Let's finish up that piece on the side there. It was mostly the red that was really showing through. I'm surprised the gold covered up so quickly. And this is just a small element on his side. It probably won't even be hardly noticeable, but I just don't want that gold, so it just does not really match. I think my original one, I just left it gold because it wasn't really visible very much, but I don't recall what I did. All right, there we go. That looks pretty good. All right, let me go wash my black brush. I'll be right back. You guys can look at Lobo and the other figure while I'm gone. nice clean brush. And we'll look figures in the corner. I wonder if he wrote, yeah, let's see. Hey He-Bro, what do you recommend when painting figures? I would like to paint a few figures, but I'm worried my paint will come off. You are right, the paint will come off very easily. Doesn't take much at all for the paint to scrape off. I use a lot of clear coats. If you check out some of my other videos I have, I show the clear coats I use. In fact, the last video I made, I think, that had painting in with customs, I did run downstairs and do a clear coat really quick, and then came back upstairs and showed everybody the paints I used. I can't remember what video it was. It was a custom figure I made. So just look for another figure video. It says how to and has the steps for how to make something. I still can't remember what figure it was. It's funny. I should remember, but oh well. My memory seems to be fading faster than it's not nowadays. It's like, that is looking more red, but it's also not looking really that spectacular. That red paint's just not doing what I was hoping it would do. I was really hoping it would just adhere like it did to that other figure. I probably should have spent time cleaning with alcohol first, but I was too much in a hurry. I might actually go back, re-clean these, alcohol clean them, and then paint them, because it's just not adhering the way I want. So sorry about that, you guys. Should have been a little more prepared. But let me go ahead, wash these off, alcohol rinse them. Meanwhile, keep each other company with some quotes and with some texting back and forth. I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm back. What a pain. So I've decided with these hands right here, I'm not going to paint them today on camera. Sorry about that. I do have some red spray paint downstairs that will work great. So I'm going to go ahead and do an alcohol bath on them, get them super clean, and then just spray them with a shiny red. So sorry about that. So you won't get to see the process, but you guys got to see the failure, which is always a good learning point. And that is when you're trying to paint something like this shiny signs, it's hard to get the paint to stick to it. So that was actually probably a good learning experience for you guys anyway, to see me fail on that. But you know what? Failure is just one more step towards success. So all right. So let's go ahead and open up this buzzsaw Hordak, and let's start pulling him apart and get him ready to become Overkill. Overkill. Now what's funny is I've seen other people create other customs and they call them Overkill. Like I saw one just the other day, it was some kind of vehicle they made, and I saw it on He-Man.org. And the person called their vehicle Overkill. And it's like, hey, that's the same name I use for my guy. Of course, I stole the name for my character from oh, what is it? The blue... I can't think of his name now. The Tick. That's it. And he had that bad guy on there called Overkill. And so... you know, it's just when I was looking at him with all his weapons and stuff, like, man, that's kind of overkill. And I thought, hey, that's it. That will be his name. Overkill. Yeah, it is kind of hard to find these new figures. Not these figures, but the Origins figures in stores. They just don't have them, except for the same ones. You can get lots of version 1 of He-Man and Skeletor everywhere. But, of course, everyone now wants version 2, so... yay, another white crossbow. It's funny, for a while you can only get this white crossbow if you were to get the Spirit of Hordak version. And so now you can get it, of course, the Buzzsaw Hordak. Now, Buzzsaw Hordak is not really that expensive a figure. The price has gone up recently, just a little bit. But if you check the link I have down below, you can find some pretty inexpensive Buzzsaw Hordaks. For some reason, people just are not a fan of Buzzsaw Hordak when it comes to classics. I'm not sure how it is with the new figures, if people feel the same way about him as well. But definitely with classics, for some reason, the Buzzsaw Hordak does not go for as high as the regular Hordak. And what's funny is, it's like, he doesn't look that different from the regular Hordak anyway. So I'm not really sure what the deal is and why, you know, one figure... I mean, obviously, the original Hordak came out, and he looks different, but not a lot. This one is newer, but so much time has passed now. I mean, this one has some cool features. For one, the boots look really clean. The other ones have some cool, you know, shading on them and stuff, so they don't look quite as clean. And he's just a very clean-looking Hordak. He doesn't have all the coolness of all the paint apps that make him look like he's been in battle and war, but that's okay. Sometimes the clean look is kind of cool too to have. So let's see. To make this figure, I am not going to need the head, so let's go ahead and pull that off. Erp. Oh well, it's on there tight. I'm going to heat it up in my bucket of water here. And this is heated up to 217 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, it's probably not really that hot at the top, but it is that hot at the bottom. So we'll just stick them in there. It's like Luke. Oh! We'll just let his head heat up in there. Meanwhile, we also need to get his head. So let's see if we can get his off. Hooray! And so we don't waste this figure, let's just go ahead and put this head right back on. Now, one thing you'll notice right off the bat is the size difference in the hole for the head. In fact, you could see it right here. Let me grab this MOTUC body right here. Look at the pin size difference of the heads. So you know that we're going to have to do some altering to make that head fit onto the Hordak body. All right, there he is. This is still a pretty viable figure. Not quite as cool with the goggles on his head. You know, kind of more like the Catwoman look with the goggles. But still, very cool. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and set him aside. Now, this figure makes a really cool skeleton if you swap the head out and do some changes. I mean, he's pretty much almost skeleton as he is. You put skeletal arm underneath, you take off the necklace, and bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself a skeleton figure that's good enough to use for skeleton. So that's usually what I end up doing with those figures. Now, I also like to use this guy's hat right here. Tex Hex. So give me your hat, man. And then his hat will then go on to this figure. And you have to admit, that does look pretty cool. Now, people have said it looks like The Undertaker from WWE. And they go, hey, you just copied The Undertaker. Well, you think about it. I mean, this is Lobo's head and it's Tex Hex hat. I mean, I suppose you could just use an Undertaker head if you were going to do that anyway. So there you go. All right. Let's go and set that aside. Let's go and see if Hordak's ready to be pulled apart. Let's try to pull off his head. Look at that, how easy that comes off. Now, I also need to remove his armband because I want to use that later. Now, the stinky part is this armband on this particular Hordak, I believe, is glued on. We will see in a minute here. Yep, you can see on the inside of the arm right there. So when you take this one off, you leave damage behind. But you want to be careful to get the armband off without ruining it because you want to use it on Overkill in a few minutes. There we go. And you can see the glue residue left behind. And now we also want to take the arm apart right here. Didn't quite get that hot enough yet. So let's go ahead and heat those up. So I'm going to stick them back into the vat. And there he is, just sitting in the vat, warming up. And our goal basically is to get those biceps to release for us. So we'll just leave them in there for a little bit. And let's see, I want these boots here. These boots are made for walking. And then I want these arms. We don't need the buzz saw. And now I was tempted to use these boots here, which are the ones that are already on him. And but I'm not sure. I think I'm going to use the other boots instead. Now I do have another one here left over from when I pulled apart a different Hordak one time. So I could pull this one off too, and now I can have one on each arm if I want to. And of course, our silver hands that I'll eventually paint red someday. And the gun that goes into the holster. Now, when you're talking about the gun that goes into the holster, I do want to talk a little bit about this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put some flat black on that. That just looks way too shiny. Not a huge fan of that. Boop. Hopefully this is not shiny black. I know I got two blacks. One I call thin black and one's a thick black. I can't remember which one's the actual glossy one. We'll just paint this over and see if that is flatter. There we go. It's a little bit flatter. You know what? I could just put a slight wash over the whole thing to kind of give it the same kind of visual look, so it's not quite so different. There we go. That looks way better already. Should have just started with that. There we go. Way better looking. Nice. All right. Just let that dry. Now, let's see if his arms will pull off yet. Ugh. Those came off really easy. Very cool. And now let's see, how much of his legs do I want to pull off? Do I want the whole leg to be black? Let me take a look and see what I did at the original figure. Just because. Underkill. That's funny, man. Now, not that I have to follow the original full... Oh, thing that I used originally. Okay, so originally I did use gray legs, and just from the knees down was the black. So I'll go ahead and do the same with this one. So to get the knees apart, you have to pull these pins right here. So let's go ahead and stick them back into the vat of hot water. Trying to have them not go all the way down. I really don't want to keep heating up that torso. Otherwise that plastic's going to get kind of weak in that area. There we go. That spoon kind of propped them up a little bit. That should work. So let's just stick these hands on here now so I don't forget. Ugh. Now, when we're talking about these hands, there's something else, and that is the gun does not fit in this hand naturally by itself. So we're going to have to build this handle up so that the Overkill, or Underkill as someone just named him a minute ago, can actually hold this gun. So a couple ways to do that. One, I could use black, which would be cool. Is Vicor expensive? Vicor is pretty expensive. Or I could use clear. Now I'm kind of leaning towards clear to give that cool aesthetic look that it already has. So I'm going to go ahead and see if this one fits on it. And it does fit on it pretty good. I want to make it just a tad little bit longer than the actual handle. So I'm going to cut it off right here. There we go. And I'm going to stick this clear on there. And then I'm going to shrink it down. Now if you take a look, I'm going to have to angle this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at an angle. And now that I've angled it, it fits much better on that gun than if it was just flat. You can see I turn it this way, it's way off. This way, bam, it's right on. That's what we're looking for. So now that I have that angled, let's go ahead and plug in my heat gun. Hopefully I don't blow a circuit. I have blown fuses before, having both the heat gun and the little cup on at the same time. So we will see if this works or not. We'll just heat that right up. Just shrinky dinks right around there. And then any excess, if you want, you can just cut it off. So let's just go ahead and cut off that little bit of excess on there. And that looks pretty good. And see, it didn't change the color because it's clear. So that's a cool way to do it. See how it fits in his hand now. Still a little loose. So I'm going to add another clear tube to it. Let's see if it fits the same size still. Sometimes after you add some bulk to it, and it does. So I'm going to go ahead and cut another one. And again, we're going to have to cut this at an angle, so make it a little bit longer. Alley-oop. Now that I've made it longer, we got to cut it at an angle. Shibbity-wop. Get the water off it, otherwise it might mess up our heat. Slide that on there. go. That looks pretty good. Now it's heated up. Whew. Keep your hand out of the way, it gets pretty hot. All right, let's go ahead and cut off the excess while it's still hot. That's looking pretty good. Let's see how it fits in his hand now. Shabam. There we go. Nice old fat handled gun. See if it still fits in the holster, and it does. So there we go. Whoops. So that will work just fine. I probably could add one more heat shrink tube if I wanted to, just so it fits a little bit tighter, but I think that's pretty good. That will work well. One more will look kind of ridiculous. All right, let's go ahead and pull these guys' knees apart. And the knees are kind of hard to get apart. So you want to do is pull on one side. And if you can't get to it, you may have to go on the other side. Leave the pin in the hole of the actual thigh, not the knee. And then just bring us around town. Take the other leg you want in there. Slide it into where the pin is. Now, sometimes while you're doing this, it will start cooling on you. And that's the hard part. So you have to make sure it stays hot. And if it does start cooling on you, all you have to do is just put it back in the water for a few seconds. And let that joint heat back up. Could you make copies of the Tex Hex hat? It's sought after piece. Saying that, I have one for my vintage moto style Tex Hex. Do you know of good paint? Okay, I talked. Oh, for Filmation He-Man gauntlets and belt. Actually, I don't. Sorry, man. I'm making a full custom Filmation figure and want to get as close to the classics version as I can. That's just clear heat shrink tubing. Correct. I love my heat gun. It makes my lights dim for a second. It's powerful. Time to be brave. All right, let's go ahead and finish closing this leg up. Now, usually I'm in a different room where I have a nice hard stone table to push on the other side of this knee. Let's see if I can use the corner of this table. I got a little table over here off to the side. I'm just going to push the corner of it right here so I have some leverage. Let's see if I can't get that leg pushed back in. Urgh. Sorry I'm not showing you guys my process here, but sometimes it's pretty hard to get this leg back into place. I'm going to use my heat gun for a sec just to get it a little bit hotter. Be careful though not to melt the plastic. Let's see if that helped at all. Woo! Hot, hot, hot. Some like it hot, hot, hot. Where are my pliers? There they are. All right, let's see if we can't get this knee to cooperate. Like I said, usually I'm in a different room where I have some better stuff around me to do this. We'll see if we can't jerry-rig this to work without damaging the leg too much. There we go. Ta-da! One down, one to go. I threw him back in there again for the other side to heat it up. Yes, Brian, you are correct. A lot of my paint coloring is mixing and matching and trying to get colors to work. right, let's go and pull off this leg now. I can tell my water's not nearly as hot as it used to be. I may have to get some new hot water because this is becoming a lot more difficult than it should be. Whew. I can see my temperature is dropping on my water. The bottom's at 205, which means the top is probably not even nearly that hot at all. So I'm going to have to use my heat gun until my water reheats. Now the trick is not to let that plastic melt. I think I might have got it a little too hot. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, it's time to stop playing and actually... Well, this is too hot anyway, just going to shove it in. Whew. So, lesson number 2, just keep getting fresh hot water. Normally I would do that, as opposed to trying to use the heat gun. Alright, so in lieu of that, I'm going to go grab some fresh hot water. I will be right back, you guys. Oh. While we're waiting for that hot water to boil, let's see if we got something else we can talk about. So I decided I'm going to try to make a cool custom C3PO. I decided to use Optic as the main body, and not much to it. Basically, I'm going to add a C3PO head to him. That's probably it. I was going to add some kind of circle emblem here, but I decided, you know what? I'm not going to. I mean, I might go back and redo it, but being this figure's already gold, not a lot to it, and I'm tired of trying to find a good C3PO, and I figured this will be good enough. So I have a head on order. It should be here tomorrow morning, and then I'll paint it to match this gold, and that'll be kind of cool. Now, what's interesting about this figure is when they made these figures, they actually made these arms removable, so you could actually pull them out and replace them. And I forgot why they did this. Now, not all classics have this, which would have been cool if they would have all had this. I think it might have been when they made Trapjaw. They made the arms removable, and they just left the same molds on this figure as well, which is really cool. And if they would have done this when it came down to like King Hiss or the other figures, or Roboto that had backward shoulders, we could have just swapped the shoulders, popped the bicep, flipped them around, and been done. So it's kind of a bummer they didn't carry that across on all the figures like that. But anyway, I'm going to grab that hot water. I'll be right back. All right, I got some fresh hot water. Yeah, I happened to find this optic from somebody at a really low price because it was missing the eyeballs and stuff in the parts, so it was pretty cheap to get. So that was kind of cool. I'm going to go and toss these arms in to heat them up into the hot water. Yeah, a lot of my parts I actually get from other customizers. So you can see like my pile of parts here. So while waiting for that, let's go ahead and put this belt on him. Now, sometimes it could be a pain to get. Trying to get this last little piece to close. I have fought this before many times. So we'll see if I get lucky this time. Do you feel lucky? And so I may just cut my losses and heat this little piece up and try not to get my paint ruined. Let's see if that helped at all. Now I have found sometimes that I may have to, let me get a light on here. You guys can see what I'm doing. Sometimes if I take a screwdriver and push it underneath and bring it up that way, that sometimes helps. So let me go ahead and see if I can't get that. Now this rubber is kind of weird. It's kind of a foamy, rubbery kind of feel to it. It's not like standard rubber. So I think it would break really easy if you're not careful. And they use the same stuff with Vicor too when it comes to some of his accessories and his armor pieces. It's kind of a strange, there we go, I just felt it pop into place. Hooray. And of course, because I was pushing so hard, I took off some of my black paint. So time to reapply. Reapply. Now I'll probably take and hit this with clear later on just to make sure it doesn't come off really easily. But for right now, I'm just kind of showing you guys a real quick build on this. All right, so there we go. We got our gun holster on there. We got his legs. We need to stick his head still on there. And to get his head on there, I can do it a couple ways. All right, can you guys see it now? Okay, cool. Looks like I'm back live. All right, so one thing I do is heat it up super hot and then just shove it on there. It has an empty space inside the front there, and that might work. In fact, I'm actually going to try that first. So I'm going to just drop this head in the vat of water. And while I'm doing that, I am going to fish out the arms with the red paint residue on them because I tried to do something not too smart. Let's go ahead and pop these arms on there. Whew. That one's really hot. Hot, hot, hot. Ugh. Nice. Okay. So those arms are on there now. Let that head heat up a little bit. Then we'll toss that on there. And now let's go ahead and start working on his gun. So the idea of using this particular body is just so that we can have him be able to open up his chest cavity and have his gun come out just like Rio Blast. So with that, I happened to buy some extra Rio Blast parts. Now, some of the parts I was planning on using to make this figure a little different was I really wanted to use the leg pieces from Rio Blast to give him extra guns. So I was kind of excited about this. I popped that on there. I thought, oh yeah, I could put that on there, paint it black, and have another gun. But when you go to fold it down, it gets caught on the knees because I'm using those extra big knee pieces there. And so I could use it, but I have to take and sand it all around so that I could fit down low as well, so the gun could come out. And I decided, you know what? As cool as that would be, I'm not going to do it. I mean, I might come back later on and design something else to have leg guns for him. But as of right now, I don't have any plans to. So we're just going to deal with the chest gun. So, like I said, I found someone online who was selling a Rio Blast without a head. And so I was able to get extra gun parts. And I'm going to use this chest gun right here. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. One is you can create some sort of little plastic piece that fits in there and holds it just right and everything else. Or I was going to take and 3D print one that has extra height in here to bring this up. But I decided the best way is just to use the black... hold on. It's all wet inside there from me dipping them in water. Is to use the black putty, this right here, in order to hold that gun in place. Because I can shape the putty how I want, and then as the gun comes in and out, it can basically move easily. So just going to grab some of this black putty here. Oh, it's got water everywhere. And just cut a little square off of it. And then just shove the black putty on the bottom of this gun. Just like so. And then just jam it in there. I need more black putty. There we go. So you can see the gun, how it fits on there. Then it folds up right inside his chest. Comes out. Ooh. Oh, there we go. Wham, blam, blam. And you can blast people. And that's kind of the idea. I'm actually going to use some more black putty just to prop it up a little bit more. I guess I just should have used the whole square to start with, huh? Instead of trying to be cheap about it. I mean, it's not like I don't have enough here. And not like I have other plans for this black putty. We'll just jam a bunch on there. And let's try that again. Whew. Whew. There we go. All right, so that's how it looks in the top. And you close it up like that. And that's pretty cool. So that's the idea. I wanted to have guns that pop out. That was the whole plan of why I use this particular body. And they can close up inside there. What's left now is to paint these hands red with my spray paint. I might go run downstairs and do that. I'm not sure. I'm still debating. So I kind of want you guys to see the finished figure. But I hate to have you guys just sit around watching nothing on my screen. Let's see, is that going to work? Or am I going to have to Dremel that out? Oh, it worked. Hooray. I didn't have to alter his head. Need to put these bands on. Gotta heat these up too. I got two, one for each arm. So I'm gonna go and toss those in. Let's put his hat on his head while his head's still hot. So I can just mash it into his hair. His face is just all pliable right now. It's kind of funny. There we go. You know what? I probably should Dremel his head out a little bit. It's just sitting way too high. Actually, that looks better. I actually shoved it into the little hole they have in the front of his head. It actually fits better on his head anyway. There we go. Dun da da. All right. Time to go paint these red. So, sorry you guys, hang out for a few minutes. I'll be right back. I'm going to go spray paint these, and it shouldn't take me long at all. It's a really fast, dry red spray paint. So while you're waiting, you can go ahead and watch these figures and watch the things in the hot water bubble away. I'll be right back. The cool thing is those not watching this live can fast forward. Actually, before I paint them, I do want to mask off some parts on it. So let's go and talk about the masking really quick. So I got some blue masking tape here, painter's tape, and I want to mask off the part where the plug goes in, just so that we don't have any issues with plugging it back in later. And I want to put a lot of tape around there, around and around. When I spray paint it, I'm also going to try to avoid spray painting this top surface, but if I get overspray, I'm not going to worry about it too much. You know, I guess I could take you guys downstairs with me to the garage. Of course, I do have the charger plugged in. I'll be right back, you guys. Just hold out for a minute, and I will be right back. Go and chat amongst yourselves. Alright, you guys, got them painted. And they are drying. They're going to take a few coats, I think. So let's look at your guys' comments for a minute. Let me get my glasses back on. Whose head is that? So the head is actually, it belongs to Lobo. Lobo. It's the alternate head of this one, and the hat is from Tex Hex right here. It is not the Undertaker. Everybody thinks it looks like the Undertaker. It is actually Lobo. Yep, you can't fast forward now because it's live and it hasn't happened yet. So sorry about the not being able to fast forward. So if you're like, I want to fast forward past the point of him painting, well, it hasn't happened yet, so you can't fast forward through it. So that part kind of stinks for you guys. It is going to take some more coats though. You can kind of see there's one of the hands painted. And then here is the other hand painted. And then once it dries, I'll probably put a couple more coats on it. So I did stick them on kind of thick, trying to hurry and do it. That's what I get for trying to hurry. But no, Lobo does not have an Origins figure. It does have a classic style figure they made. It was a Build-A-Figure, and you had to buy all the different pieces of the figures to get it. Let me go and show you where it comes from. Oh, and I actually did a video on just Lobo by himself. So, for Lobo, here's one of the figures right here. And this is the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. And in there you can see there is Lobo's boots and legs inside there. And you can see here is the Build-A-Figure on the back. And so you need to get Kid Flash and then the Terry, what is it? Terry Mix something, I forget his last name, Batman. Then you have the Kingdom Come Superman, and then this Green Lantern. You get all four of those, and then you can build yourself a Lobo figure. And there he is. So I did want to get extra boots, so I bought a second Kyle Rayner so I can get the boots to use for a different custom someday. So that's why I have that figure as well. All right. So these hands are not going to be dry in time for you guys to see them, unfortunately. I'm going to set them aside so they can dry without destroying them. Probably should use the other red. The other red actually dries faster. It was the 2x red, and this one's just the regular one. I should have grabbed the can so I could show you guys. And I'll be right back in a second. All right, let's fish those armbands out of that hot water. So let's go ahead and get those. Got my trusty spoon here. Let's go and pull those out of there. They are nice and hot and pliable, just like we like. And let's see, this one goes up like this. See, here's the color red I used on my figure. I should have put gloves on, I know. haste makes waste. So you try to do something live, so you end up making mistakes trying to get things done quickly. It's like, man, I should have just took my time, pre-painted the parts, and just showed you guys, here's the paint I used. That's if you want to have the armbands on both sides. Now, since his hands aren't done, we can go ahead and stick on his weapons, though. So let's go ahead and do that. And I will put the gun on this side. Oh, there goes his hat again. Ooh, so you guys can see what it looks like. And then I will put the claw on the other side until I get those hands done. Actually, you know what? I just want one armband. Two is just too much. I'll say it's overkill. But I guess that's his name. I should leave two on there. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. There's his hat. Stay on there, man. And there is Overkill. And his cool gun that pops out. Alright. So, there you go. I do have some other figures on order that I'm going to use to update my Rio Blast a little bit. I got the 2-pack of Old Man Logan and Old Man... oh, what is his name? Hawkeye. And they got some really cool parts that I want to use with my Rio Blast. So we should probably see that soon. Sorry you guys didn't get to see the completed thing with the red hands, but you know how things go. Sometimes things go easy and sometimes they don't. But anyway, there's my Overkill figure. He's... oh, I didn't put the gun in his holster. Gotta do that too. Where did I... there it is. There's the gun. Ching. See, it looks pretty good at it being painted black like that. And once those hands are done drying, I'll put one more coat of red on it, and then maybe I'll do an update video to show you guys the completed Overkill with the right color hands. His elbows bend so hard that, there we go, that the weapons want to pop off before the elbow bends. All right, well, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Sorry I had to leave so many times. The cool part is if you're not watching this live, you can always fast forward past those parts. Of course, now it's kind of late to tell you. But like, subscribe, tell your friends. Hopefully I'll get the paint off my hands before I make the next video. Oh, and I will see you guys in the next video. It's crazy. I've learned not to reply back to people late at night. Because Rick told me, hey, why are you sending all these messages late at night? I had time, and I started sending messages, and I lost more subscribers last night in the middle of the night than I have in a long time. So I have learned my lesson not to answer people's replies to their messages on YouTube in the middle of the night and people are sleeping. So if you were a subscriber and you were afraid you keep getting the messages in the middle of the night, you don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm not going to reply back to people after in the middle of the night anymore. So, all right, hopefully it helps. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. See you guys next video. Bye now.